I now take back everything.
I don't know. It's giving Bambi learning how to walk. I picked up this crochet kit at Walmart the other day. And by the other day, I mean like a year ago. And we're going to test it out. If you're new here, hi, my name is Mitzi, aka the Loopy Scientist. Subscribe down below, like this video, etc., etc. I'm glad you're here. So, in today's video, we are going to be testing out a red heart amigurumi crochet kit. I'm pretty bad at doing the things that I say that I'm going to do, so I have a bunch of kits and stuff to test with you guys over probably the next year of videos, honestly. One of them is this little crochet kit. It is for Lawrence the Llama, and it's by Yarnspirations or Red Heart. I don't remember how much I paid for it, but I don't think it was more than $5. I think it was on clearance or something. So I actually learned how to crochet from a kit. I learned from a Woobles kit, and my first project was Fred the Dinosaur. I will insert a picture of him here or here. Mr. Loopy actually still has Fred on his desk, and it always reminds me of how far I've come since I started crocheting. A lot of these companies claim that they are easy for beginners, and I kind of want to test that theory. Although I've been crocheting for about 3 years now, and I would consider myself at least intermediate at this point, I would say. But I always, whenever I'm testing patterns for people, I always have the beginners in mind. Whenever I'm kind of giving notes for clarity or giving notes on how the pattern is structured and things like that, I want to review this kit for a couple of criteria. One, what does the yarn feel like? Because that's going to be important for a kit. The yarn can really make or break whether or not you're going to enjoy it. Two, do they supply enough things for you to complete the project? So is there enough stuffing? Is the yarn sufficient? Three, what is the quality of the notions that they give you? So if it has a crochet hook, if it has a tapestry needle, if it has safety eyes, what quality of those things do they give you? And four, how good is the pattern? So I know that good is a very subjective term, but I want to look through it to make sure that it is good for beginners, not necessarily to teach you how to crochet, but at least a readable pattern. Okay, so without further ado, let's pop this open and see what's inside. In this kit, we have yarn in the main color, which is white coffee. This doesn't feel like Red Heart Super Saver. It feels... Do they have a yarn that's specifically called amigurumi? Because I think that's what this yarn is. And I don't know how much is in here, but we have this in the main color. Then we have the accent colors, which is color A is green, color B is black for facial features, C is blue, and D is red. And then we have a 2.5 millimeter crochet hook. That feels very small, but yeah. So we've got a crochet hook here. It looks like just an ergonomic hook. I think it's a tapered hook. And then toy stuffing, which is this polyfill here. A tapestry needle, which is included inside of this little baggie. And a stitch marker. Only one stitch marker, that's surprising, but okay. It has on here the abbreviations for a bunch of different things, and it doesn't necessarily have instructions on how to crochet, so it's not really a learning beginner kit, if that makes sense. Maybe it's beginner friendly, but it doesn't have stitch instructions or anything. It just has kind of pictures of... I'll try not to show you all the full thing, but it has pictures of the process and everything. They have spaces in their pictures that they have 3 different stitch markers on the body, but they only gave us 1 stitch marker, so that's a little bit rude. If you're going to need 3 stitch markers, at least give us 3 stitch markers. And then at the very bottom, it has some instructions for a magic ring. It's just a diagram for a magic ring at the very bottom. I thought that this was the instructions front and back, but no, it's the instructions on the front are in English and the instructions on the back are in French. So, yeah, I am a little bit worried because I see on here up to rounds in the 40s, and it looks like we are sewing in the muzzle, the tail, and the ears, both ears. So, not necessarily a low sew pattern, not like a super high sew pattern, but still not necessarily a low sew pattern. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and get started on this pattern, and let's see how far I can get. Oh my god. This is insane. Y'all, I hate this. I hate this. I hate this yarn. Anything positive that I said about this yarn, if I said anything positive about this yarn at the beginning, I don't think I did. I think I was pretty neutral. I now take back everything. This yarn is terrible. Terrible, terrible yarn. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. It splits so easily, and I think that this hook size is too small, probably, because it keeps splitting it. It took me like 3 attempts just to make the magic ring. It's taking me what feels like 5 billion years to make any of these stitches. Oh my god, what did I just do? What the heck? Okay, it's the next day. We're back. I have some thoughts so far, and they're not good ones. I really tried. I tried my best to give this yarn a fair chance, but from the very beginning, just making the magic ring, this yarn was splitting so terribly. This is actually just the frog third leg because it looked so absolutely terrible because of how bad it was splitting. One thing, it's 100% cotton yarn, which cotton yarn already can be a little bit stiff. This is a decently stiff yarn. Not as stiff as something like Lily Sugar and Cream, if you're familiar with that yarn, but definitely still a stiff yarn. And working with it on the hook, it feels absolutely terrible. No, it feels rough. It feels like you're working with rope. And worst of all, it splits. It splits so badly. Do you see? Do you see all of the yarn that's split in there? There were so many times that I had to redo stitches because it was splitting, and then eventually I just gave up trying to do that because it would split anyways. It was terrible. It's terrible to it splits so terribly. I tried wildly decreasing my tension, and you can see here just how much bigger this leg is from this leg, because I usually have pretty tight tension. So I was thinking maybe that was the issue. So then I loosened up my tension and tried it, but it was still splitting. It's still splitting so terribly. Look at that. It might even be worse with the loosened tension, honestly. This hook is so strange. Let me grab a hook that's of a similar size. I don't have a 2.5 in clover, but I do have a 2.75 in clover. And you can see on this hook how it has that nice like little tapered edge. It gets bigger right at the very bottom, but all of this is super smooth here. This, weirdly enough, gets, do you see that? It's tapered, but then like right here, it gets thick. Do you see the difference there? That makes it really strange to crochet with because, you know, I have pretty tight tension, so my tension is basically right where the neck of this is, but that means if I move the hook enough to where it catches on this bigger part, it kind of, it feels very strange on the hook because it's really tight and it kind of gets caught. I tried doing yarn over instead of yarn over to see if that would help, because maybe I was thinking, you know, since I'm grabbing the yarn like this instead of bringing it around my hook, that maybe that's why it was causing the splitting. That didn't help either. So I think this yarn just kind of sucks and it's terrible and I hate it. I'm going to do one other thing. I'm not going to finish this pattern in this yarn. There's no way. This pattern is, so far the pattern's been fine. I mean, it's not like I've done much. I've just done some of the legs, but the way that it's written, there's no real issues as far as I can tell. There's a lot of text on this page, but nothing too crazy. Also, the front, I didn't realize actually has a QR code. So I went to that QR code and there is actually a video tutorial for this. It's a 46-minute long video, and you can also download the pattern and you don't have to pay for it using this link. And I don't know if it's just a free pattern, but then the kit itself is what's worth the money for them. But the kit is not worth that amount, honestly. That yarn alone, like, you can get much better yarns for this price. And the video tutorial seems fine. She seems to be pretty good. I did notice that she even said it, she has pretty loose tension, and she's also crocheting very slowly in this, and I don't know if it's because it's a tutorial or because she's scared that she's going to split the yarn on camera. But basically it's chunks. She shows like the first like stitch of a round and then is like, okay, at the end of the leg we do this, and then at the end of this body part we do this. And so she's only showing like maybe actually crocheting maybe a couple of stitches at a time. And I don't know if that's on purpose to not show us how much she's struggling in the background to not split the yarn. That's just a theory, allegedly. I feel bad for her for having to crochet with this yarn. What I'm gonna do is take this giant leg and go ahead and try to do part of the pattern where I'm connecting these legs, because it's basically connecting them and then doing some rows. And I'm gonna see if that's maybe a little bit better when it comes to the splitting of the yarn. If it's not, I am just going to instead make this pattern using a different yarn. That way I can still test the pattern, but not have to use this terrible yarn, because it's honestly, it's stiff, and cotton yarn already kind of hurts my wrists a little bit. I don't want to injure myself, and I'm already frustrated with the splitting of this yarn. So I'm not going to risk my wrists for something that I know is not going to come out good, looking good anyways. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to at least do the join, and then I will report back All right, so I worked part of the body, but I did want to have some information on whether or not the yarn would split if I was working in rows instead of rounds, because these rounds are really small. They're only 8 stitches. So I was thinking maybe if we're, in rows, we have a little bit more space. We're not constrained to, making sure that it's like in this tiny little area. It didn't matter. It split anyways. Here's the body. You can see all those split stitches in there, so it doesn't matter. This yarn sucks. And I don't know if this hook also sucks, or it's because this yarn sucks, or both. They didn't teach anything on the video tutorial past how to make a magic ring. This doesn't give any instructions for how to crochet, and even in the video tutorial, it's not like you're following along necessarily. It's more make this part, do this. Like, it really is just the instructions. So this isn't a beginner kit. There's no indication on here as to what level it would be anyways, but I'll say that it's not a beginner kit. I actually looked on the Red Heart website. This kit, full price on the Yarnspirations website, was $16.99. I definitely didn't spend $16.99 on this kit. I think I spent maybe $5 to $7 on it at Walmart. And it's on sale right now. It's on clearance right now for $5.99. Maybe they realized just how bad the yarn is and that they need to stop selling it. If you're going to buy a kit that has everything included, there are much better kits out there. I learned from the Woobles kit. I know it's not everyone's favorite, but it did give very specific instructions. If that's what your goal is to learn how to crochet, the Woobles kit really taught me each of the stitches, and I was able to see what I was doing wrong. And I think that that was a really good learning method for me. There are other kits out there that have maybe diagrams, like pictures and stuff, and maybe a combination of videos, but this is in no way, shape, or form a kit to learn how to crochet. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this pattern, I'm going to grab yarn that I actually like to work with. I think to make it still small, kind of like this, I'm actually going to use Petite Pearl or Skinny Chenille. I don't know which is which, honestly. But I'm going to use Loops and Threads, the skinny polyester chenille yarn. That like really skinny blanket yarn. So I think I'm going to use that, and I will try to get through this pattern. Maybe I'll try to use this hook, but just switch out the yarn for now and see how that goes. But I will be back momentarily. Okay, update. I have been working on this in Skinny Chenille, Petite Pearl, whatever that yarn is, and it is about the same size as it was in their terrible cotton yarn. So you can see here, like, that's the size of the legs. They're about the same size, and so I have been continuing to use the 2.5 millimeter hook that I was supplied with. It's been working fine, but like I said before, it's a bit of a strange experience because of this weird neck situation. Like, you can even see it right now. You can see how it gets bigger, like, very quickly. So the part that you actually want to crochet with is like very short. But either way, it's been working out okay. I am now basically halfway done with the body. I think I'm going to start decreasing so I can make the neck in this round, but it just told me to stuff the legs. And, like, I don't know if it's me or what, but the front legs are like kind of, it looks like a little baby deer or something. Like, I feel like if I try to stand it up, it's not going to look quite right. Because it's about the same size, I will use everything else that they told me to use, or I will use their stuffing for this, and I will let y'all know the quality of the stuffing once I use it. But yeah, that is my little update for now. We're to the part of the pattern where I have to start stuffing, and then I think we're going to start making the neck. So this is it so far. Do you see how the back legs are kind of like, I don't know, it's giving Bambi learning how to walk. You know, I thought maybe stuffing would help, and then I've been trying to like kind of push them together. I don't know if I did something wrong when I was joining. Maybe I didn't have loose enough tension for the chain between the legs or something, but I don't know. If I don't like actively, like it looks like it's doing the splits, like legitimately. It's like a little llama gymnast. I don't know. I don't really love the way that it's standing. And I did notice in this pattern that it kind of looks like the legs are just like that. There aren't any pictures of it just from the back. Even in this, it doesn't really look like they're super straight legs. So maybe that's just the way that it is. I don't know. It's really giving Bambi at the moment. So I'm not loving that. Yeah, we're about to start the neck. I also don't know how I feel about this shape. Am I just being too critical of this pattern? But like, even where the decreases are placed and stuff, like it's a very interesting slope. I'm not convinced right now. So I'm going to keep working on this. I think, okay, yeah, I'm at the part where I'm going to, it says start stuffing body, continue stuffing as you go. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stuff the body, and then I will continue stuffing as I make the rest of it. But yeah, so far, not super convinced with the pattern either. So, okay, I'll be back. We're at the end of the neck, and I'm going to start making the head soon. The instructions are a little bit strange because it tells you to make the neck, and then it tells you to whip stitch this closed, and then it tells you to make the head, and I'm like, that doesn't make any sense because this is attached. So I'm just going to make the head, and then I'll whip stitch this closed with a different strand of yarn, because that doesn't make any sense to me why we would make the neck, whip stitch, and then make the head. So yeah. And also I was thinking while I was making this that this could honestly, like, with the way that the legs are kind of sitting all crazy like this, wouldn't that make a good Nessie? Or like a sea monster sort of pattern? Just a thought. I'm not gonna lie, y'all. This looks wild. What is this pattern? I'm really trying to trust the process. But like, what is this? This is, okay, so I'm on the last round of the head. Like, I just finished it and I just need to close it up, and then I guess I'll make the ears and the muzzle and hope that it looks like something other than a bowling pin on top of half of a sea monster. Okay, friends, I am done and I am back with my final thoughts on this crochet kit. So this is what it looks like at the end. Not too bad, still kind of cute. But I have some thoughts. Whenever we first started this video, there were 4 questions that I asked. 1, what does the yarn feel like? 2, do they supply enough stuff? 3, what's the quality of all of the notions? And 4, how good is the pattern? So we'll go through those one by one. So number 1, what does the yarn feel like? I think you already know I absolutely despise this yarn. Terrible, terrible yarn. Splits like crazy, kind of stiff, just not an enjoyable experience. I wouldn't recommend this yarn to my worst enemy. 2, do they supply enough stuff? That's kind of a tricky question. So they definitely had enough stuffing. Like, I stuff my stuff pretty firmly, and there's still a good amount of stuffing left. So I think the answer is yes, even if I was using this other yarn. Like I said, the legs are about the same size. So I think that I would have had enough stuffing, even if I ended up using the rest of that yarn for the pattern. I do also think that this is probably enough yarn, at least for the body. I can't say for sure because I ended up not finishing it. My best guess is that yes, it would be fine. However, the other yarns that they have, so these other colors, I couldn't make the little thingy to go around using this yarn because I had to actually chain some more to get around this body. And there just was not enough to make the little like neck pieces that the pattern asked for. Let me show you guys. So in the actual pattern, it has these like little neck pieces. I couldn't do that with the green or the red yarn because there wasn't enough of that yarn left after I made the body one. In the video, the person that's doing it does say to like basically chain from both ends to make sure that you're going to have enough yarn, but I don't think that I would have had enough. I have pretty tight tension and I used their 2.5 millimeter hook and I didn't have enough yarn to finish it. So I would say that these little scrap pieces, if you want to make everything that they called for, I wouldn't say that they have enough. The stitch markers, not enough. At some point they tell you to mark 2 of the stitches for where you're going to make the neck, but they only supply 1 stitch marker. So if this is like the only thing that you have and you don't have extra stitch markers, you can't do that. So it would be nice if, you know, they tell you that you have everything that you need, that you actually had everything that you need. Another thing that you have to supply for yourself is scissors, which, like, not that big of a deal, but still, you know, some kits do come with scissors and this one didn't. So another thing to keep in mind. They do give you a tapestry needle, so that's that. So the answer to number 2, do they supply enough stuff? Depends on the main stuff that you need for the body, sure, but notions and the extra yarn, not really. 3, quality of the notions. I mean, this stitch marker is just like a stitch marker that you get with literally any, like, even if you buy, like, sometimes when you buy safety eyes and stuff, they come with like a packet of these stitch markers. It's just a regular locking stitch marker, so it's fine, whatever. This tapestry needle was like pretty okay. I will say that this hole was a little bit small in my opinion. With the yarn that I was working with, like, it started to like fray a little bit at the ends with this yarn. And because this yarn splits so much, like the yarn that it came supplied with split so much, I think that if I were to try to sew with this yarn with this needle, it might have split inside of here too. So I don't know. I mean, it did the job. I was able to do all the sewing that I needed to do with this needle and it was fine. The hook, y'all kind of already know my thoughts on the hook. It's a little bit weird and I don't like that this neck kind of gets bigger here randomly kind of in the middle of this neck, and it's like kind of a little bit lumpy, but it did the job. I was able to crochet. It was kind of a weird feeling, but it's not like a super scratchy hook, if that makes sense. Like I've worked with some hooks that are like just so rough to work with. Nothing is ever going to be as smooth, in my opinion, as the Clover and More hook, at least that I've tried, and any tapered hook. I think Clover and More just kind of blows everything out of the water. So obviously it wasn't as smooth as that, but it was like a fine hook, and I've worked with worse. It was just kind of weird to work with because of this whole like neck bulging out situation. So quality, so-so. Okay, so how good is the pattern? That's kind of a tricky question because I was able to follow the pattern just fine, but in my opinion, it was a little bit wordy. So I'm used to kind of reading patterns, and you know, they say 2 single crochet, decrease times 3 or something, you know, in parentheses times 3. This says single crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, single crochet decrease, which is their abbreviation for just a regular decrease for a single crochet. So it's single crochet dash decrease 4 times. So they don't have like what I'm used to seeing in amigurumi patterns. It's just a little bit wordy in my opinion. Like they could have really condensed that down, but nothing too bad. I won't really knock off points for that. I will say though, for the neck pieces, it says using colors B and D, chain 8. But colors B and D are black and red, but in all of their pictures, it's actually green and red. So I think that it has to be a typo. Maybe they switch because color A is green and color B is black. So they must have just switched that, because even on the saddle, it says using color B, C, and D, which we see is green, red, and blue, but then it would have been black, blue, and red. So, I mean, not terrible. I mean, after you made the face, you didn't have any black left anyway, so yeah. They didn't supply any safety eyes, which, like, fine. I just embroidered them. I don't love the way that they look, but, like, they're fine. And overall, the pattern was, like, decently easy to follow, and they did have pictures, so they would say to do something and then tell you to look at the picture, so I did appreciate that. So for someone that, you know, isn't as experienced and needs to look at the pictures, yeah, I think that was helpful. So the pattern was fine again. So overall thoughts, I would never, ever, 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 ever in my life recommend anyone buy this kit simply for the yarn. You can get this pattern online. There's a video tutorial online. So if you're looking for a pattern and you're like, wow, I really want to make this particular llama, just get it online and use your own yarn. If you really want to get a kit, this is not the kit for you, I fear, because this yarn is terrible and you're probably just going to get frustrated. If you're a beginner, this doesn't teach you how to crochet, so this is not a teaching kit. This is just a crochet kit. So if you're already a crocheter, you already have yarn and you already have the supplies to do it, but just want to get into amigurumi, still wouldn't recommend it. I don't know. I just don't know who this kit is for, because the yarn sucks and the pattern's like fine, but I think that there are much better llama patterns out there. There are much better kits out there, and this also doesn't really give you enough to make like all of the pieces, in my opinion, or at least with my tension, it didn't. Wouldn't recommend. If you really want this pattern, get the pattern online, but use your own materials, honestly. I think it was online for sale for like $5. It's honestly not even worth that. You could get these notions with a different llama pattern for the same price. So yeah, those are my overall thoughts. I think that there are much better things out there for you to crochet if that's what if you're looking to get into amigurumi. I just don't see who this is for. But anyways, that is the pattern. And you can see it's still a little Bambi. Like if I put any pressure on this, this just goes flapping out. I think it could be helped if I just put like a stitch to kind of correct and straighten out the legs, but I can't be bothered to do that honestly with this pattern, so it's just going to sit in the back of my room. I don't think that I would sell this to anyone, but alpacas are my favorite animal. This is a llama, kind of. It's not even, it doesn't even have llama ears, but it also doesn't really have alpaca ears, so it could be just any sort of camelid, honestly. I'm just going to put it somewhere in my craft room, and it's going to be there to remind me of how terrible that yarn was and how little I liked working with this kit. Okay, so hopefully next week the video will be a little bit more positive. Please stick around, subscribe to my channel, like this video if you want to see me review more things in the future. Put down below how you learn to crochet if you do crochet, or if you're eyeing a crochet kit if you don't know how to crochet yet, and maybe I can review it for you. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys next week. Bye!